Hello, this is Dr. Jody Kendrick, and this presentation is Tips for Success for Nursing 500 Theoretical Foundations of Nursing, also known as your theory class. Hello, students. Thank you for taking the time to review this PowerPoint presentation. I've created this PowerPoint presentation because I understand that students want to be as successful as they can, and being successful means to score the highest grade they can in each of their courses. So this tool was put together so that I can take each of the 8 weeks of our course and kind of focus on each assignment that's due and let you know what the expectations are for each of those assignments. This next slide is a list of all the assignments we'll be doing for the course. I want to point out that every Monday morning, very early, I will post that week's focus areas, and it will include what chapters you're reading for the week, and then some details about the assignment that's due. Okay, so I'll just read these off real quick and we'll go into more detail further in the PowerPoint. But you'll be doing your discussion post every week, week 1 through week 8. And that's where you'll answer the initial discussion post, read through your peers' post, and then respond to 2 of them by Sunday night. Week 1, we have a philosophy paper due. Then in weeks 2 and in weeks 4, we have a case study. Then in week 3, we have our nurse theorist video reflection. Week 5 is when your big term paper is due, and that's a completed rough draft of your nurse theory comparison paper. And then in week 7, you'll turn in that final paper completed. And then to finish off the course, in week 8 is your philosophy of nursing paper part 2.
Okay, so starting with our weekly discussion board post. As I said, we'll have one of these due every week from week 1 through week 8. Okay, and I want you to think of the discussion board as our time together to talk back and forth as a class, just like you would if you were in a face-to-face setting. Okay, so don't be afraid to go back and forth and challenge each other, and help make the conversation as stimulating as you can. Okay, and discussion posts need to be completed in the week that they are in. All right, so moving on. The philosophy paper, that's due in week 1, and then again, you have the second part of it due in week 8. Okay, so the directions that you'll find in week 1 for this philosophy paper, it tells you to think about your nursing philosophy, reflect on the definition of the 4 concepts of the nursing meta paradigm, and then they want you to write your own definition for each concept of the meta paradigm of nursing. And as you do your reading, you'll learn that those are health, nursing, environment, and person. So those directions that are given show that it's just not a free-flowing 2 pages of what your philosophy of nursing is. It's actually structured, and they ask you specifically for content related to the meta paradigms that you read in your reading for the week. So what I've done here is I provided the headings for you to use in this paper. Okay, so that you're sure to include all the required components of this paper. So you're going to have an introduction, a brief opening paragraph to introduce what the paper is about. Then the next Okay, so the philosophy paper, again, after you receive your paper from week 1, I'm going to have all kind of comments on it and areas that might need fixed or tweaked. Okay, you're going to take that paper and you're going to make those corrections. Okay, because then you're going to have the philosophy paper number 2, and that's due week 8. So if you take your exact same paper that I gave you back and you corrected it, then week 8, all you need to do is read the instructions. And
Next, we're going to talk about journals or case studies. Journals and case studies are the same thing. And we're going to do 2 of these. One is going to be done in week 2 and one in week 4. And what these are short presentations. The first one that you'll do in week 2 is a presentation about Mr. Duran. He's a Mexican American man with some issues, some health related issues, and they're going to tell you how some of our theories from this week relate to him. Okay, and then so what you're going to do is you're going to write this as an informal paper, and you're going to say, today I met Mr. Duran in the clinic, and you're going to discuss the theories and how they were able to help Mr. Duran's case by implementing those theories. Then the second part of this assignment is how you're going to take those theories and you're going to relate them to your current nursing practice. And if you don't have a current nursing practice, do an area of interest that you have, maybe that you're interested in working in someday. So again, these journals and case studies, the same thing, weeks 2 and weeks 4, and it's a presentation about a scenario, and they relate the theories from the week to that scenario. And I want 2 paragraphs on this. I want the first paragraph to be how those theories relate to the case, and the second paragraph would be how you can relate those theories to your practice setting. So it's not a formal paper, no cover pages needed, no reference pages needed. Type directly in that text or journal box. Do not put it as an attachment or I won't be able to open it. I'll have to give you a 0 and ask you to resubmit it. Okay, so type directly into that journal box when you submit those. Our next assignment is our nurse video reflection. I think this is probably one of my favorite assignments in the course, and what this does is give you an opportunity to listen to some of the nurse theorists that we study and kind of hear about their theory and how it evolved over time and what was going on at the time in life that they decided that their theory was pertinent and needed to be created. So what you'll do is you'll go over to the left-hand side and you'll see a tab that says Nurse Theorist Videos. And you have several on there that you can pick from. So go through those and listen to several of them and see what one resonates kind of with you and what your personal nursing theory is. And this is just a simple exercise that you listen to the video or the interview and then you answer these 5 questions. So this is not a formal paper. This is simply write out the question and then your answer, write out the next question and your answer. And I think you'll enjoy this. I think you enjoy seeing the nurse theorists close up and personal, given their own rendition of their theory and how it came to be. So again, start this one early because you have to have your library access to be able to log into these videos. So you might need to make a phone call or 2 to get your library password if you don't have that, because you'll need that to log in to the theory and the different theories and be able to view them. So start early on that. And again, not a formal paper. I don't need a cover page or a reference page. Just list out those questions and answer them for me. Again, there's an example in the doc sharing area of how to set up your video reflection.
All right, that takes us to our main paper for the course, and that's called your theory comparison paper. You have the opportunity on week 5 to turn in your rough draft, and that gives me the chance to review it and to make any comments in it, any changes that are needed in it. And then when I get it back to you, you still have 2 more weeks to hand in your final, and you'll be able to take all the feedback that I gave you and modify your paper if need be. Okay? So this paper. Okay, so I suggest that you use these headings that I'm providing here for you. You'll read the directions under week 5 and it'll lay this all out for you. But using those directions, I've come up with these headings to ensure that you're putting all the required components into your paper. Okay? So you'll have your introduction. You'll start with your grand theory and tell why you chose it. Your middle range theory will be your next paragraph and why you chose it. And then the next heading will be background. Okay, just continuing here, your application to nursing practice. How does your grand theory apply to nursing practice? How does your middle range theory apply? And then the next paragraph would be headed application to my practice, and you're going to relate both of these to yours. And then you have the parsimony, and then you have your conclusion. Okay, this is a formal paper. You need to be reviewing your APA. You're going to have citations throughout your paper. You're going to put your citations on.
Alrighty, this brings us to the last slide of this presentation, and just a couple things I want to point out and remind you of. WCU does have a late policy, and every day that a paper is late, it receives a 5% late penalty. So the papers are due on Sunday night. So Monday turned in would be 5%, Tuesday 10%, and I can take those up until Friday night midnight, but I can't accept anything after that Friday night cutoff, and that's a WCU policy that they have us enforce now. So make sure that if you didn't do it on time, at least jump in and get it done, because partial points for it are better than no points or a 0 in the grade book. Okay, and if you get behind in your discussion post, just jump back in the week that we're in. I cannot accept any discussion posts for the week previous, and I can't take them early. So make sure that you're doing discussions in the week that we are in. Okay. And then lastly, be sure to text my cell phone or email me if you have any questions. Typically you guys would use course messages or something like that. There are multiple ways in Blackboard to get a message to or a question to your instructor, but I prefer that you text my cell phone or email me. That way I can get you an answer immediately back. I know your time is valuable, and when you're working on something, you need immediate answers to your questions so you can keep moving forward. So every Monday, you'll see an announcement from me every Monday morning, and it has my cell phone number on there as well as my email. Again, just reach out with any questions that you have, and I hope that you found this presentation to be a good tool. Refer back to it as many times as you need to throughout the 8 weeks to get familiar with an assignment that you might be stuck on. And again, reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm here to help you and to make sure that you succeed in this class. Thank you and good luck.